Hey guys, I think you're gonna like this one. We found a couple of ammonites today. I also went over some beginner sort of tips to fossil hunting because I see a lot of people are confused by a few things. So I hope it's helpful and entertaining. But yeah, I'll see you on the river. What up, YouTube?
What up, YouTube?
There you go. So we've had a lot of rain lately, which is sort of a good thing because it's washed a lot of stuff, moved a whole bunch of stuff around. So anything that was sort of hidden will hopefully be revealed, but we'll see. I never have much luck in this first section, but it's really pretty. It's kind of nice to walk through, so I come here anyways. The elements are sort of your best friend in this sort of thing, because the water in the river, it moves stuff, it erodes stuff. You get banks collapsing so that anything that was hidden in the bank comes out. You got ice. Ice will expand. The water gets into the walls, expands, and breaks stuff down, and it's all good fun. And then can't forget the wind blowing around and just causing a general ruckus. I'm pretty hopeful that we'll find some pretty cool stuff. So I am in a couple different fossil groups, local ones in the area, and I see a lot of people who found something, don't really know what it is, and they have lots of questions and stuff like that. So I think in this video I'll address some of the stuff that I see, things that I've learned to help me know what's a fossil, what's not a fossil. For instance, I mean, this guy right here, there you got a concretion. So just because you found a concretion doesn't mean you found a fossil. It is important to look closely. Like right there, that sort of looks like it might have some petrified wood in it or something like that. I mean, that's one example of something that's, like, once you do it for a while, it's relatively simple, but for someone just starting, you know, that's something that they don't really know. So I'm gonna try and look at things like that and see if I can shed some light on some stuff to help people get a bit better at identifying things, or just generally knowing what's what. I myself am not very good at identifying stuff. Most of the things that I can identify are things that I've found a million times, and so I just sort of know. But I'm not very academically inclined when it comes to fossil identification. I generally leave that to the experts. If I find something I don't know what it is, generally I'll go and ask. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna start looking for fossils now, and as I think of stuff, I'll sort of chime in on it. So I know I've probably said this a million times in past videos, but these gravel bars are a good place to look for loose stuff. You know, because stuff's constantly falling off of the cliff and the water takes it and sort of piles it all up for you. You can go through it all if you'd like. But I found some pretty cool stuff just lying around in little gravel bars just like this. Up here, how smooth all that is. I'm pretty sure this is a fresh deposit of stuff. Because as I said, we've had a lot of rain in the last, you know, couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if the water level was much higher than it is now, even just a couple days ago. Because it can fluctuate quite a bit. Which is another thing to keep in mind when you go out on the river and during this season, is that the water levels can fluctuate, so you have to be conscious of that and take the necessary safety precautions. But right here is, you know, a float concretion floated down. All of this is shale, this gravel. So if you were to just sort of sit here and pick through, you would be bound to find something at some point. For instance, right there. So, looks like we got a little bivalve there. Embedded straight in the shale, which is kind of cool. But there you go. So that's obviously, bivalves are easy because everybody knows what a clam looks like. They still exist today. So there you go. You could take that, have it identified. I'm gonna leave it right there for the next guy. But yeah, that's a good approach. That way you're not having to tap away at anything. You're not in any sort of real danger doing that. So that's a good place to start and get your bearings for things. And here we have a cheeky little rock fall. So these are things that you want to watch out for. This one looks like it came out of this section right here. Stuff like this can have really cool stuff in it, and it's a good place to find nice concretions. There's a nice little concretion there. But they also have a tendency to run the risk of falling right onto your head. So generally you want to stay away from the cliffs here. Of course, I'm famously terrible at following my own advice, which is a me problem. It shouldn't be a you problem. But when the cliffs are more stable, this is a good place to look. I'm going to try and get that concretion out real quick here. Another cheeky little concretion. But anyways. Now here's an example of something that someone might think is a fossil, but isn't. So this material here is shale, and this material here is sandstone. So I'm pretty sure this is some form of a concretion, you know, so it's not like it isn't something that you look for, but it's not a fossil is the thing. It's just a weird rock, and you'll see a lot of that. So here's a good example of what you'd call a pseudo fossil. It is not a fossil, but if you were to see that lying on the ground and a big pile of rocks, you might think it is a fossil. This obviously looks like a big old fang, like a big tooth sort of thing, almost like a saber cat tooth or something like that. But yeah, no, it's just a cool rock, right? As you can see, like from here up, you know, it's like that is some kind of monstrous tooth. But no, so that's one thing you got to be careful of. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, looks like it could be a fossil, but in reality it's just an odd sort of shaped rock. They come in all shapes and sizes, and it's hard to tell. I see a nice concretion right there in the water. But boy, is it deep. Can I get this guy? So yeah, that's a good sized concretion. You'll see this sort of stuff. That's actually, what do they call it? sliders, I think. But so this is sort of clayey at one point, and I guess while it was forming, the material around it shifted and moved, and it slid across and made these little, it almost looks like tree or something. But that's another thing that's mistaken for a fossil that, you know, isn't a fossil. So that's a perfect example right there. There are better examples. There's ones that literally look like, you know, a branch or something. But it's just the material slipped and slided during the process that caused it to turn into a rock. But yeah, I'm gonna break those open in a sec. I'm just gonna see if I can spot anything in this gravel bar here. I just got quite a bit of water in my boot, which is unfortunate. Didn't find much in there, so let's crack some of these concretions open here. So that sort of looks like some kind of mineralization, maybe even pyrite. It doesn't really look like anything. So you can see there's a line that goes all the way around here. Someone might mistake that as a fossil, but it's actually like mineralization. It's there's a fancy word for it, but these concretions form around something usually. And what happens is you keep getting layers and layers and layers like an onion. And sometimes there'll be, and it's all minerals, it's mineralization, so sometimes it'll be like one mineral on one layer, different mineral on the other layer. So like this, where you can see the outer edge is a different color than the inside, because they're two, you know, similar but different materials. And one's actually going to erode faster than the other because they're different and have different like hardnesses. So even after they erode and whatnot, they'll start to look real weird, and sometimes they'll even look like stuff. Like they'll look like I don't know, like vertebrae and stuff like that. More minerals and stuff. Nothing. Ah well. But yeah, you gotta sort of be careful. I mean, anytime you find a concretion that looks like a good one, give it a good look over all the way around. Because if you already know there's a fossil in it, there's really no point in hitting it with a hammer, because you're just going to end up damaging the fossil. Something that I'm guilty of, right? But best not to do that. What you do in a situation like that, you either keep it the way it is, try and identify it, or if you can't, find somebody who can prep it. There's lots of people, at least in my area, that can prep the fossils. Pneumatic air scribe or even an electric sort of Dremel will do the job. It's a nice little piece of dalisite. I want to be on that side, so I have to figure out a way across without getting more water in my boots. Now this is an interesting little piece. So all of this sort of white stuff is a layer of calcite, I think. And it came from this right here. You can see there's more of the calcite there. I'm pretty sure these are what you would call an igneous intrusion, where a crack opened up or there was some kind of fracture and then igneous rock slid up into it. I'm pretty sure, don't take my word for it. But you know, somebody could pick that up and think it's a fossil. No, unfortunately it's not. You believe it or not, fossils can be very difficult to find. But in some places, not like some places more than others. But if you know what you're looking for, finding them is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna quickly see if I can see anything there, and then I'm gonna head back down river. Here's another example of a calcite vein. It's like, it's a little broken, but anyways, so a little bit there, there's another little bit up there, a little bit right there. I think it's from like plate tectonics, because the earth is always moving on the inside. So all the stuff that's on top that dried out gets moved, it ends up cracking and whatnot. And then stuff fills in that gap. Because you got to imagine there's a lot of pressure inside the earth. There's so much weight pulling down, right? So it's pretty neat to think about. Like, you don't usually think about that when you look at a big pile of rocks, like a weird shaped rock. I think it's kind of fun to imagine like what could have caused it and whatnot. That stuff's pretty neat. Pretty neat indeed. Holy smokes. Somebody lost their ginch. Jeez Louise. So this is actually a rock fall. That section just below the moss up there fell down. This pieces of it there. This tree came down with it. This was actually probably closer out to like there. It fell earlier in the season, earlier in the year. It's a big example of like how much the river moves stuff, right? It's cleaning this right out. Eventually all of this will be gone, something else will fall down. But yeah, as the river washes it, it makes it a little easier to figure out which is a concretion and which isn't, because a lot of this shaley stuff can look a lot like a concretion. Like that guy's pretty round, you know, that kind of looks like a concretion, but it's actually just shale, and if you hit it with a hammer it'll like explode. And it can be hard to tell because this is a concretion. It looked very similar to the last one. Looked similar to that. This is a concretion here, pretty sizable one. But as the water washes it, makes it a little easier to figure out what's what and what not and all that. But anyways, I'm gonna slowly probably take a little look-see-poo through all of this sort of stuff and make my way down river. Holy smokes, it is absolutely gorgeous. I just love when the leaves change. I think, you know, autumn, that time of year, my favorite time of year. This is one of my, this is a really good spot. I like this spot too. For the simple fact is you got some waterfalls. You got all the maple trees mixed in with the pine trees. Big old cedar tree down, but whatever. And there's fossils. Ooh. Oh yeah. Okay. right on. So this is an ammonite right here. I just saw this guy. I thought it was like a bivalve or something sticking out, but you flip it over, it looks like some kind of involute. It looks like it'd be pretty nice to prep out. This area would be a little difficult to prep to get that, you know, caking off, but digging in here, it seems pretty shallow in there. There's some fossilized wood as well. Right on. Okay, cool. Right on. Anyways, okay, so I'm gonna give this area a bit more attention then. Take my backpack off here. It's nice hard rock dalasite. It's pretty neat. Nice little rock fall here as well. Worth taking a look. See, there's also a little bit of a fall over here, so have a quick peek. Got a neat one here. This is a Inocermus or Inoceramid. You can see there's a little hole in it right there. It's actually, you know, from way back in the day, something bore a hole through the shell, then it was fossilized. It's really cool. It's like predation or what have you. Neat little piece. Not necessarily what I'm looking for. Look at that. It's a big chunk of calcite or whatever the heck this stuff is. That's just a funky concretion. Because of all of the fractures in this one, I wouldn't bother opening that. Right. Looks like there's a big rock fall over there, but I don't think I can get there safely. And I don't really want to bother trying. I'm sure if I put my mind to it, I could get there. I just don't really want to. My feet are already wet. So if my feet were dry, then, you know, whatever, but regardless. Don't want to fall in there. There we got a piece of something right there. Looks like it might be a Horiceris ammonite. It's a type of ammonite. Gonna see if I can't get that guy out here. So let me just hope the camera's picking this up. But what I like to do, that's what I want out, and I just sort of want to pop a layer off of this rock. This stuff will probably fall, but whatever. There's a little socket here. And you see how that's just lifting up on it? I should be able to just pull it right out. So just the way that the shell looks, I think that it is a Horiceris, but it seems really, really crushed. Fracture down the line there, I was probably went something like that, but it's really beat up. It's really, really beat up. And there's Inoceramid chunks in it there. Still cool. Chuck it in the pocket. I might tap it with a hammer because I don't think that there's much there anyways. There's another little concretion here. Yes, do I see anything else? Little bivalve. All right. So this one's got an ammonite in it. Judging by how thin and just sort of the shape of that there, I'm thinking it's another Horiceris. That's pretty cool. Looks kind of crushed, unfortunately, but c'est la vie. There we've got a beautiful little Horiceris. Absolutely crushed to all heck though. Still pretty cool. It's a nice little piece. That there's the top of the waterfall. You can see where the water line was by all of the little pine needles. There you go, sizable bivalve there, another one there. Pretty nice piece, you get two bivalves there. This has been a pretty productive little spot. Just pulled this guy out from right there. And we got another Horiceris, which is pretty cool. This one might have the inner whorl, which is neat. But this is only sort of a portion of it. The center should be like right there on it. Yeah, it's like right around there is where the center is. So we're missing all of this. It's real banged up on the outside. But still a cool find. I'm gonna keep this one. I've sort of been keeping in preppable ones for a future video where I'll prep some stuff out and sort of give somebody an idea of how all that works. By no means am I a professional, you know. That's like almost a trade in and of itself. Like there are some like skilled professionals out there. But I know how to do little things here or there. So maybe I'll do a video of a little bit of prep work. Try not to embarrass myself in the process. And there it is. I think we've come to an end of our fossil adventure because I'm not going down there. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a fun one, little impromptu adventure. Got to test out the new boots, found some fossils. And yeah, if you enjoyed, like and subscribe. If you know, like this one, you'd probably like some of my other content. Anyways, you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.